Greetings viewers, welcome to Mariculum Studios, where today we are back with another episode of Scary Reactions, where I find some scary videos, react to them, try to get scared out of my socks, because I'm actually wearing socks, and I'm wearing gray socks. They're gray, not white. Don't get any ideas, for those of you who got that joke. As always, until I find a way to have you submit me scary videos that you want to show me, my scary reactions videos will compose of 3 Want-See Entertainments, 2 Llama Arts, and 1 Snarled. So today we're with the artist Want-See Entertainment, and I like their scary animations. So we're going to react to Want-See Entertainment and react to some scary videos, and hopefully we're scared, and hopefully you like this show. Make sure you comment, like below, and make sure to subscribe to Want-See Entertainment, Llama Arts, and Snarled. And I'll leave the link to all 6 videos in the description below. Here we go. So the first video we're going to react to is called True Horror Story, about the strangest guy who I met in the building. We're going to go ahead and react to this in 3, 2, 1.
This happened to me a few months ago. Me and my friends were taking the bus to school. We had to get off the bus at the terminal and walk to the school, which was about a 10-minute walk. There were a lot of ways to walk to school, but our favorite way was what we called the elevator way. Walk a bit and then go through a 2-floor building, and when you enter the building from the first floor, you can either take the stairs or the elevator. As lazy girls, we always went in the elevator.
Why would you go in the building?
Together, we always made fun of people and ourselves, and laughed, sang, and danced. We acted like total idiots.
Why would you go in the building anyway when you're going to school?
We were kind of late that day, because we waited for one of our friends at the bus stop. It was cloudy, but everything was normal until we walked into the building. We were just laughing and waiting for the elevator to arrive on our floor, and got in. But when the door was about to close, we saw a hand stopping the elevator, and to our surprise, there was a guy. He entered the elevator.
Take the stairs.
And all of us
Take the
just
stairs.
got close to each other.
Take the stairs.
I never
Get out of the
look at
elevator.
strangers, 'cause I don't want to look like a weirdo, but my friends do. We were just trying to hold our laughter in from how funny and stupid that guy looked. He looked like he was in his 20s, and he had dyed orange
Really,
hair.
Want-See?
He was wearing a dirty
Really, Want-See? It had to add that in there?
track pants. We were just glancing at each other, but we stopped as he whispered, "What a great way to travel, huh?" We were already freaked out at this point, so we just rushed out of the elevator. When we got out, he waited and pressed the outside button to keep the elevator on that floor. So where we had to go was a hallway with 2 glass doors and work offices with big windows, so you could look inside the office from the hallway pretty well.
Why would you go there? You're supposed to go to
Usually we waved at
school.
the people who were in their office, but they were empty today. So we just walked, but as I was always paranoid, I was ready to run. I looked back and saw that man. He was following us, smiling so widely and looking right at me.
Book it, book it, book it, book it, book it.
I started running, but my friends didn't know anything. They just laughed at me. I wanted to yell, "Run!" to my friends, but I was afraid that I might trigger him. So I just kept looking back. At that point, my friends noticed. They looked back too and ran in a matter of seconds.
What about that girl?
But my last friend was still walking, unaware of everything. After a second, she finally looked back, but the guy was right behind her, really close to her.
That's
My
not
last
very
friend
close.
was kind of a chubby type, so she was slow at running. Then he started speeding up. He was smiling like Pennywise the clown. We bumped into the first glass door, and it was quite heavy to push.
Wait, that's your school?
Then we heard a scream. When I turned around, the man had grabbed my friend's bag and was pulling her from behind. I screamed and ran back towards her. The man was still pulling her. I grabbed her hand and was desperately trying to get her backpack off, but it was stuck in her rain jacket. I saw that there was no point in trying to pull her. I rushed to that guy and tried kicking him, but I tripped and fell. All of a sudden, he ran to me, let go of my friend, and grabbed onto my hair, which was in a long braid. He was pulling my hair, and I was screaming at the top of my lungs. All my friends were running to me and trying to get him off me while he was pulling me with him. One of my friends swung her heavy bag and hit that guy in the face. He screamed and fell hard on his back. We ran
Bag full
out
of
of that
rocks or
damn
bag full of heavy
building,
books?
and as soon as we got
I
out,
have a bag
fell
full
on
of a
my
lot of
knees
books,
and
so that would
burst
make a
out
perfect weapon.
crying. One of my friends called the police, and after that, we went to school, met the police, and gave out our statements. The reason why no one was in the office was that there was a party going on in the rooftop, so no one was at work.
You didn't see that?
The police
You didn't look on the
never
rooftop?
found the
Well,
guy.
guess you can't see it
But
from
me
an
and my
angle.
friends saw that guy again from far away entering the building. So we just turned around and walked away. We
What about-
never went inside that building again.
What about school? Okay, that one confused me right there. Was that building their school? And if it wasn't, why would they go in the building in the first place? I have no idea if you guys can hear the fan in my computer is whirling so loudly right now. Don't even know what's causing it. I think it's cooling down now. But the next video we're going to react to is called I Had a Girlfriend Who Stalked Me. Don't know, I honestly cannot relate to this because I never had a girlfriend, and I honestly am planning on being alone my entire life. So I had a girlfriend who stalked me. The only way I can think of this will be scary is if the girl holds a knife to you. Or, like, if she just stalks you, I don't know how I'm going to be scared by this, but we're just going to watch it. Unless it gets,
My
like,
name
really
is
creepy.
Dan. This happened 3 years ago. I moved out of my parents' house once I started making a steady paycheck.
Wait, how old are
I'm a
you?
plumber, and one day I had to go to someone's house to fix some pipes. There was a married couple and their daughter living there. Their daughter was 22 at the time. She was 6 months older than me, and her name was Amanda. While I was working, she was talking to me, asking if I was single and stuff like that. And to be honest, she seemed pretty cute. We exchanged phone numbers and eventually started dating. And she even moved into my house. We were 3 months into our relationship, and stuff started to get out of hand. She was always getting mad and annoyed so easily. She always started arguments, and so on. This began to happen all of the time, even in public, which was incredibly embarrassing. One day I had enough, and I had to break up with her, and I told her to leave and never come back. Amanda was pretty pissed off when I said that. I just ignored her when she was packing her stuff. She finally left, or so I thought. After that day, she would always show up at my house, harass me, throw rocks at my window.
Oh, yeah, you
so
call...
on.
That's
I'd called the cops
vandalism.
many times,
Yep.
but she was gone by the time they showed up. About a month later,
Smart.
when I came home from working, I would find her in her house, yelling at me to come back, or I'd find writing on my walls that would say, "Come back, or I'll kill you." The writing eventually went from pencil to marker, and then around blood. And Jess, I'm being serious when I said blood. That carved my name a bunch of times into her arms and legs. She only got into my house because I forgot to take the house key back from her at the time. In hindsight, I'm such an idiot, I know. That psycho knew where my parents lived and showed up to their house during the night.
Come on girl, it's not that big of a deal. Just find another guy and avoid a restraining order, it is much simpler that way.
My mom almost had a heart attack when she woke up to the sound of a knife being tapped on the window glass. When she woke up, she saw Amanda standing there, staring at her, while psychotically smiling at her. Amanda did a lot, which really pissed me off. So one night, I decided to stay overnight at my parents' house. It was about 2 in the morning when I heard a tapping noise in the window next to me. I turned and saw Amanda staring right at me.
She
Her
has a
eyes were
knife,
wide open,
but does she want to
red.
end the life?
She had bags under her eyes and a huge smile. I went outside and started yelling at her to stay away from me and my family, but she screamed at the top of her lungs and charged at me with a knife. I punched her right in the face, which knocked her out. I called the cops and made sure Amanda didn't wake up while they were
Yikes.
arriving. The cops came quickly while Amanda was knocked out. They found my house key on her, and she was arrested and eventually sentenced for a long while. After Amanda was sentenced, my parents and I moved out of state because we'd like to stay as far away from Amanda as we possibly can.
Get the heck out of there.
Be released.
No. Psychotic. No, no, no. No, please. That's a no bueno. This next one's called Crying Woman, and that's like the official title. The title in the video is called Crying Woman in the Cubicle, but this one just says Crying Woman. So we're gonna react to this, and I don't know what to expect from it. Is the crying woman a ghost? Is the crying woman a victim of... Is she crying because someone's after her? I don't know, but that's what we're here to find out.
I used to work at a call center company, and my shift started at 11 p.m. Since training, I'd heard a lot of ghost stories about our building.
Ghost.
Of course,
Okay,
I didn't
it's a ghost story.
believe them, and I really wouldn't have cared anyway, because all I cared about was work. One night, I went on a short break to go to the comfort room. Our office is located at the left corner of the building, and usually it's quite dark compared to the other office corners. I normally use the comfort room in the middle of our building because it's bigger and a lot of people go there. But since it was just a short break, I chose to use the executive's comfort room because it was much closer. Besides, it was always clean and looked a lot nicer compared to the other ones. When you enter the comfort room, the first thing you see on your right side are 2 sinks, a large mirror, and 2 lights above them. Then there are 3 cubicles on the right side and 2 cubicles on the left side of the room. When I entered, I noticed that the room was a little bit darker than usual. Some of the lights were not on, and only the cubicle in the corner on the right side had paper left, so I entered that one. When I was sitting on the toilet, I heard someone come in and enter the cubicle next to mine. And then
It's a
I heard a
ghost.
woman crying. I tried to ask if she was okay, but she just kept crying. As I finished
That
my
is a
business
man.
and stood up, the crying
That
sound
is not a
stopped.
woman crying. That is a
Concerned,
man
I
cry.
stood out.
Perhaps it is just the tone or pitch of the voice that makes it sound deeper than it actually is. That or 1Z Entertainment couldn't find a woman cry sound effect.
Outside the door of the middle cubicle, knocked slightly and asked again if she was okay, but there was still no answer. I tried peeking under the cubicle door, but no one was in there.
Why?
But I could have sworn I heard someone come in earlier.
At least someone's in there, but
I felt a
why?
bit spooked as I remembered the ghost stories that my coworkers used to tell about our building. I started walking fast to the exit, but somehow the doorknob that was fine when I'd entered was now broken, and I couldn't get the door to open. I was getting actually scared. The crying began again. I started banging on the
No.
door and shaking the doorknob.
Okay.
No use.
Little creeped
And
out,
then
but
the sound of the woman crying started getting closer. Panicking, I also started crying while banging desperately on the door. The crying stopped. I could feel the woman standing right behind me. One of the lights in the ceiling started flickering, and the door still wouldn't open. I tried to avoid looking back in fear of what I might see, but from the corner of my eye, I saw in the mirror a reflection of a woman in the flickering light. She wasn't standing at my back, but half of her face was visible in one of the cubicle doorways. I closed my eyes. I was soaked in cold sweat. I remember shaking from fear, thinking I was going to die.
it's a little
I started
creepy.
praying as I cried. Only a minute or 2, though it felt much longer, passed before the door suddenly opened and a maintenance lady stepped in. I was so relieved. I told her about what had happened, but she just apologized for the broken doorknob and ignored everything I said about the crying woman. I went straight to the office and apologized to my supervisor for coming back late from my break. I tried to tell her about what happened and told her that I was not feeling well, that I didn't think I could finish my shift that night. She didn't seem to believe my story. I warned my coworkers as well and told them about my scary toilet trip. I never went back to that comfort room ever again, and eventually...
That's what you call the bathroom, the conference room?
months later.
You know what time it is, guys. It's time for some llama art. The next video we're going to react to is called Creepy Night Shift Story 2 by Llama Arts. Now, I like llama arts too. In fact, I'm more familiar with llama arts than Monty Entertainment. Creepy Night Shift Story 2.
It was around 3 years ago. I was 17 years old and I worked at the local library in my city. The library was located in the middle of the city, but was totally abandoned in the evenings. I only worked in the evenings, when all the older staff had already gone home. My colleague and I were the only one left there that night, as it was the day before Christmas and a blizzard was going on outside. Not one single customer inhabited the building. My colleague Thomas was down at ground level, while I was sitting at my desk on the top level. Normally, I would take the time to study, but it was the holidays and I was completely bored to death.
Study for what? Oh, you're
the library
17.
was recently renovated, so I could look outside through the big windows that they had put up. I mostly looked at the blizzard going on, thinking about my bike ride home. It was a dark December evening and the snow
You're
was
17 and you don't have a
piling up.
car?
I just really wanted to go home.
I mean, that can't be. I
It's
shouldn't
really
really blame
snowy
you for
out there,
that.
Tom.
I'm
What
16
do you
and I
say
don't
we
have
close
my
up
learner's
early?
permit yet.
No one's gonna show up anyway. Over.
Your jokes are funny. Over.
Just 10 minutes before we closed, I heard some people coming up the stairwells. It was some kind of family, one man and a woman with 2 girls. When they came through the door, I
What?
immediately saw that they weren't ordinary. The man had a pale, almost white face and wore red lipstick. The woman was also completely pale. They all wore clothing like they used to be in the 17 or 1800s. I just had my history exam, so I recognized it immediately.
That
While
is
I walked
weird.
towards them, I saw that they were looking around as if they were lost. "Can I help you folks?" I asked them. They looked at me with big eyes, if I was talking Chinese. I almost thought about bailing, but as we just had a meeting about customer satisfaction, I asked again, a bit louder. "Can I help you folks?" They now all looked at me, with a big smile and large eyes. I was totally creeped out, and I didn't really know what to do anymore.
Okay.
"If I can help you, I'll be at my desk," I said, and I quickly walked away. When I was at my desk, I could still see the family just standing there, doing absolutely nothing. Tom, have you seen this family that just came in?" Over. "No, no one's come through the entrance."
Book it, book it, book it, book it, book it.
"You good?" Over. Now I was even more creeped out. When I looked up, I saw the man walking towards me. From the inside, I could almost cry, but I did my best not to show it. The man stood in front of me with his pale face and called out something in a language I couldn't understand. It sounded like English, but it sort of wasn't. I couldn't make out anything. I looked down at my computer to make it look like I was searching, hoping he would just take off. When I finally looked up, nobody was there. The whole floor was abandoned again. I did a quick sweep of the floor.
When I
found
heard
nobody.
Night Shift, for some
As if
reason I
they
thought
just
security
vanished.
guard.
Just then, my colleague came up the stairs, and I told him what happened. He didn't believe me, and I thought I was trying to scare him. Luckily, there were security cameras in the library, so we could just watch what happened, right? After we closed the library, we went to the security office in the building and looked at the footage from earlier that evening. What I saw then was the creepiest thing ever. I was talking to nobody. The whole family wasn't on the screen. It was just me, talking to myself.
Don't know how I should feel about that. Were those family a victim? Was there a building before that library where a bunch of people died? Are there spirits now haunting that location from now into eternity? I want answers! The next video we're gonna react to is called The Roommate by Llama Arts. Again, I want to relate to these things, but I can't. I don't know what it's like to have these things, and I feel like it might be creepy. Like, you don't know your roommate, who you're moving in with. These things are so common that you want to know what it feels like to see if it's actually creepy or not, to see if this stuff like this is true. So let's just watch it in 3, 2, 1.
Looking for a new roommate is always a daunting task. Even though you interview and take the time to get
Why
to
would
know
you
that
look
person,
for a roommate?
you don't truly find out who they are until you start living with them. I had begun searching for a roommate after I decided to leave my current residency. I was contacted a couple of hours after placing an ad on the Facebook Marketplace. The message read,
"Hey Chris, I'll be moving out of my current apartment this August and I'm looking to room with someone new, as my roommates are moving to California this year. I'm 27 and I'm currently going to school. When I'm not at school, I enjoy hiking and watching movies. I also apprentice at a taxidermy shop on the days I don't have class. Hope that's not weird. It's always been a fun hobby of mine. Anyway, I'm looking forward to hearing back from you. Have a great day, Lunaire."
My first and most obvious reaction after reading the message was to check her profile. She was a medium height, had long, messy blonde hair and green eyes. In her profile picture, I saw her standing with a man and a woman shoulder to shoulder. They each adorned goofy grins and held up peace signs. Under the photo, the caption read, "Love my roommates." I smiled to myself and decided to send her a message back. The sun beat down on us as we hoisted various objects to the
You
second
saw that
floor
lady
of our
on
new
the floor, right?
apartment. It took us a couple days to get everything out of the moving trucks and into our new place, but as soon as we did, a wave of relief washed over our sweat-drenched and sore bodies. After a couple more hours of rearranging, we each grabbed a beer from the fridge and sat on the porch. We reminisced about old 90s cartoons and what video games we obsessed over as kids, and as the sun started to set, I truly felt
I still don't
relaxed and
understand roommates that
confident
much.
that things were going to work out. A week later, I started a new job for a construction company that was owned by a good friend of mine. As I was getting ready, I heard the front door swing open. I walked into the living room to see Lunaire and her friend David sliding in a large box. "What you got there?" I asked. Through a strained grunt, she replied,
"I bought a freezer to store some of the animals I'm planning on using in my taxidermy work. I hope that's alright."
I was obviously hesitant at first, as there was no mention of this happening in the
It's a
first
little
place,
creepy,
I eventually
but not
accepted and
100.
returned to my
No, wait.
room to
It's a little
continue getting ready for
questionable,
work.
but not
I
100%
came home
creepy.
at around 9 p.m. after having a couple of beers with friends,
Like,
and noticed
taxidermy
that the
is a
freezer
thing.
was nestled snugly in the lower part of the pantry. A low hum could be heard reverberating off of the inner walls. I was curious to see what was inside, but didn't want to intrude on Lunaire's business, so I went
It's
into
a
my
human.
room and changed into more comfortable clothing.
It's a human.
After
It's
changing,
a dead
I came
human
back
body.
out into the kitchen and started making a sandwich. I opened the fridge and grabbed what I needed. As I turned around, I stubbed my toe on the edge of the island countertop and let out a long, exasperated grunt. Through my frustration, I slammed the fridge door shut and checked my toe to see if there was any bleeding. As I raised my head back up, I was greeted by a shadowy figure. Lunaire was standing in the doorway leading to her room. The darkness behind her almost seemed to envelop her.
"Is
Yeah, I'm
everything
moving.
okay?"
Yeah, I'm moving out.
She said in a deadpan tone. "Shit, yeah, I'm sorry. I just slammed my toe into the corner of the countertop as I was making a sandwich. I hope I didn't wake you,"
"It's fine."
she said, in the same deflated tone as before.
She looks
She then
dead
turned
inside.
around and walked back into the darkness of her room. I could tell that she was pissed.
Oh, heck
So I
no.
quietly made my sandwich and retreated back to my room as well.
Bro, in all the 900 years I have lived, I have never met one guy stupid enough to see that as normal and not at least research a criminal record or do some digging.
Only hearing the low hum from the freezer as I closed my door. I had the next day off, so I was able to sleep in a little longer than usual. When I finally emerged from my room, I walked into the kitchen to make breakfast. As I opened the refrigerator, I noticed that the light wasn't turning on and there was a lack of cold air escaping from inside. I turned around and flipped the light switch to confirm my suspicion. Sure enough, the power was out. "Damn it," I muttered under my breath. I walked over to Lunaire's room and knocked on her door to tell her about the power outage if she didn't already know, but there was no answer. I then remembered that she had classes that day and probably wasn't home. I walked back to the kitchen and past the pantry. As I did, I slipped on the floor but was able to catch myself on the countertop. "What the?" I angrily exclaimed. as I looked down at the floor, trying to figure out what I had slipped on. It was blood, and it started to leak from the corner of the freezer and pool onto the floor. I quickly tried to open the freezer to find out the cause of the viscous liquid, but then I noticed that it had a padlock attached to it. I don't remember seeing that before. I ran out to my car and grabbed my toolbox from the back seat. I approached the freezer and set my tools down on the nearby countertop. I then pulled out a small pair of bolt cutters and snapped through the metal of the padlock.
Just clean up the blood.
It fell to the
and
ground
then-
with a large thud. I creaked open the top of the freezer and was greeted with a putrid stench that permeated my nostrils. I quickly pinched my nose and walked away gagging in response. I guess I should have realized that was gonna happen, I muttered to myself in between gags. After gaining my composure, I grabbed some gloves from under the sink and started taking inventory. I could see a couple of dead birds in plastic bags wedged into the corners of the freezer. I took each bag out and set them in the trash can nearby. That's when I noticed that the blood was coming from the corner of the larger black bag. I don't know why, but I decided to open the top of the bag and peer inside.
Is human.
I was greeted by large, milky white eyes, a swollen black tongue surrounded by cracked and bloated lips, and the matted hair of a human head. I swiftly dropped the bag and fell backwards onto the floor. My breathing had ceased to exist, and I grabbed the trash can next to me and expelled my disgust into it. I then ran out the door, got into my car, and called the police. As I sat in the interrogation room with a blanket over my shoulders, I couldn't help but think about the face I'd seen. It looked so familiar. That's when it finally hit me. I pulled out my phone and looked at Lunaire's profile picture. It was her old roommate, the one she said was moving to California.
What? What? No, 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 no. You cannot do that. You can't do that. How you gonna leave me on a cliffhanger like that?
Entered the room, she started the questioning process, asking me if I started noticing any weird behavioral occurrences around the apartment. Yeah, I stubbed my toe the other day and she creepily stood in the doorway. It seemed like she was pissed, but for some reason I had a strange feeling like she was concerned about something. That's when I connected the dots. She didn't come out into the kitchen because she heard me stub my toe. She came out into the kitchen because she thought I slammed the freezer instead of the fridge. A cold sweat started to form on my forehead as my surroundings became blurred. I could hear a low whine slowly starting to cover up the words of concern from the detective. As my vision started to clear, I could see another officer enter the room and whisper something into her ear as he handed her a piece of paper. "Do you have somewhere you could stay at?" she asked. I mean, I was planning on staying with my parents. They live about 30 minutes outside of town. Okay, she paused. Listen, I don't want to worry you, but we found this picture inside of your apartment. She slid the piece of paper across the table, and I immediately felt like someone kicked me in the chest. The head of Lunaire's other roommate sat on the chair. In the background, scrawled on the wall in blood, read, "Love my roommates. All of them."
Why would you show him that? I love my roommates enough to murder them. Ha ha ha. That was creepy. That one actually almost got me. What psychotic love do you need to have to like people enough to murder them? So this last video that we're going to react to is called Curse of the Blarney Stone, and it's by Snarled, and it's an Irish folk scary story, and this is actually interesting because it's an Irish horror story. I wanted to see what scary stuff was going on in Ireland, and this is narrated by Markia. Again, I don't know what happened to Sapphire. I don't know if she gave up this channel, left it to Markia, or if they're working together. But we're being narrated by Marquis again, and I'm kind of liking Marquis. She's a good narrator. I watched a couple of more snarl videos but outside of scary reactions, and I kind of like it. I kind of like her narration. It's kind of like she puts more emphasis in it. I mean, I'm still more familiar with Sapphire, but you know. Anyway, we're gonna react to this in 3, 2, 1.
Hey, I'm Markia. Want to hear something scary?
That's why I'm here. It's scary reactions.
The curse of the Blarney Stone.
What kind of name is that?
In Ireland,
Blarney
locals
Stone.
tell the tale of the lucky Blarney Stone. It's set within a castle wall that you can kiss for
Blarney.
luck. But
Who calls
what
it?
happens if you disrupt a cherished tradition? On the first warm spring day after a long, brutal winter, Siobhan asked her friend Aaron if he would like to join her on her visit to the legendary Blarney Castle. On their drive to the castle, Siobhan couldn't contain her excitement to see the Blarney Stone in person.
Remind me again what this stone does?
Asked Aaron. Siobhan explained that the legend says that anyone who kisses the stone will receive the gift of Gab, basically eternal charm. You'll be able to sweet-talk your way out of anything. Aaron chuckled a little confused. Siobhan seemed really excited for what basically sounded like they were headed to some kind of tourist trap. Although he thought that would be an amazing thing to have if it was true. Siobhan went on to explain how the stone got its magical powers. The builder of the castle, Cormac Ladder McCarthy, needed help getting out of a sticky situation, so he called upon the goddess Cleona to help him. She told him
Nice
to kiss
Ireland
the
accent.
first large boulder that he saw. With her blessing, he did it, and was able to charm his way out of any problem. After that, he set the stone into the parapet of Blarney Castle. Finally, they had reached their destination. They walked across a long, narrow rope bridge to access the giant castle. But instead of following the printed signs to the popular Blarney Stone, Siobhan ducked into a roped-off area and stealthily headed off in the opposite direction. Aaron, wary but very curious, followed her lead. Finally, in a different part of the castle, Siobhan stopped. In front of them, set within the castle parapet, was a very large and noticeably darker boulder jutting from the wall. There was an opening about 2 feet in front of it. It hung over the side of the castle from the roof, and the fall looked to be hundreds of feet. Standing there, both Aaron and Siobhan could feel a type of energy emanating off the angular rock. Aaron's eyes widened with fear.
How did you know about this?
Eyes gleaming, Siobhan explained. During the winter, I did a lot of digging to find out where the real Blarney Stone was. The other stone is just for show, for tourists, but the legend is real. Quick, grab my ankles, hold me steady. She lay down on her back with her
Still
head
can't get over
hanging
the Ireland
the
accent.
Aaron gripped tightly as she scooted her body forward until her upper body dangled above the ground far below. Angling her hands against the wall for support, grunting, she hefted herself forwards and upwards, finally brushing the stone with a kiss. Aaron hurriedly dragged her back in and on his hands and knees looked down at the ground far, far below. Extreme panic set in. He'd never been this high before. His vision started to blacken along the edges, blurry and nauseous as he felt himself tipping forward toward the edge. Aaron, pay attention to me, Siobhan asserted and compelled Aaron. Immediately, he snapped out of it, angling to look at Siobhan with razor focus. You're all right, and he suddenly was. Back away from the edge, and he did. Aaron stood there amazed at Siobhan as she slowly grinned with self-satisfaction and turned to leave. Eyeing the boulder, Aaron made a sudden decision.
I know this guy's is Irish, but he is still white, so why does this make it look like white people always try to tempt fate?
If kissing the stone did that, taking part of it with us would be even better.
Making sure Siobhan was not looking, he reached out, quickly yanking a looser piece from the stone, put it in his pocket, and jogged after her to catch up. As they both rushed along their way out of the castle, Siobhan far in the lead, objects started falling over randomly around Aaron. A painting, a tapestry. Then there was the crash of a suit of armor. As he ran, he heard a voice repeating louder and louder.
Return the stone! Return the stone!
At the castle entrance, Siobhan had stopped, waiting for Aaron. Stepping on the bridge, he grabbed her to urge her to run, trying to get off the grounds to outrun the voice now thundering between his ears. Several feet out, the bridge started to slowly unravel. Siobhan screamed as the bridge gave,
What is that
loosening
noise?
below them and snapping in two. Their screams echoed as they fell. Something yanked hard on his foot, and Otterin found himself hung upside down, leg hooked on a part of the bridge, dangling above a terrified Siobhan. She gripped part of the fallen bridge, legs dangling. The stone then tumbled out of Arin's pocket, hitting Siobhan in the face, causing her to loosen her grip. Arin grabbed her as she steadied herself back on the piece of wood. Stunned, Siobhan blinked. Was that a piece of the stone? Arin nodded. You unleashed the curse of the Blarney stone. It is never to be removed. Then the wood Siobhan was holding snapped. Wide-eyed, Arin watched as she fell into the water below, being dragged by some force far, far below its surface. Arin screamed out for her. His mourning would be brief, as a piece of wood that his foot was caught on snapped, and he plummeted down, head first, never to be seen again. As soon as his body disappeared into the water, the stone magically emerged out of the water and floated back up to the wall. No bodies were found. The bridge was repaired. An unfortunate accident, officials said. Savvy locals knew better, though. 'Twas the curse of the Blarney stone, claiming more victims.
Come check out.
I still cannot get over the name of that. Why would you call it the Blarney stone? This is a magical stone that can give you good luck, the power to talk your way out of anything, and with a tremendous curse that will kill you if you anger the gods or whatever. And you call it the Blarney stone? I mean, it's named after Blarney Castle, and that's even worse. Why would you name a castle Blarney? Who names anything Blarney? That was Scary Reactions episode 2. Hope you guys enjoyed that. So I think the most scariest one to me was the roommate one, especially the one where she cut off the head and put it on a chair. Don't know if I'm gonna have to censor that. I mean, yes, technically it's a cartoon, but still, I'm aiming for younger viewers. Like, I described this before, I want to be technically kid-friendly, so I might have to censor that image. I don't know if I will. Yeah, I probably will. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that video. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. So, if you want more scary reactions, make your like, comment, subscribe, and try commenting down below the link to some YouTube videos that are scary that I can react to. Please do that for me, and I'll see you all in the next video. Farewell.